Let's polish some Sodalite, which can be UV reactive.
So I have here some raw Sodalite. Some of it has the orange in there, so it's often called sunset Sodalite. I have tumble size that I'll be doing, and then I have some bigger chunks that I wanted to do. I'm going to get this started in the rotary in 60-90. It's going to be tumbled with some Moroccan agate. I'll be using it to top off the Moroccan agate barrel I have already going. This is a softer stone, but for this first stage, it's okay to tumble it with something a little bit harder. I'm going to add in a couple bigger pieces, and then I'll do the rest kind of smaller. Maybe a couple more. Maybe I'll do one more kind of. All that good. It's about 2/3 full. I'll add water. Okay, you can see the water through the rocks. It's not covering them. Then add my grit. Got a little wet. I wanted to move it to the side. So I'm going to add 3 scoops of grit. And then give the lid back. Sodalite, not quite ready. That's it. Another week at least to finish it up. This barrel, for whatever reason, is very gummed up at the bottom. Look at that. Look at that. I wonder what happened there. Seemed to be rotating fine. I'm not really sure. Wow. Really, really thick. Ooh. Yeah. So the Sodalite that I put in this barrel also is not done. So all the Sodalite will go back in. I am going to do these smaller Sodalites in this barrel, but since it kind of got gummed up, this is not Sodalite. Since it kind of got gummed up, I'm going to try to put some of the bigger pieces in one of the other barrels just to try to prevent that again. Because I had that one really huge piece of moss agate in here. I think that kind of really inhibits the barrel's movement inside. And it's kind of silly of me to have put in all those larger stones. It's one of those things though you kind of just get excited about and forget. This piece is actually ready. And maybe this one too. So yeah, I like to just kind of run my fingers over them. Sometimes it's easier to feel an imperfection than it is to see one. So we do have a few ready to move on to stage 2. These bigger pieces of Sodalite I'm going to put into my barrel with the other barrel with Sodalite in it that has mostly Moroccan agate. These are waiting to do stage 2. So some of this Sodalite will need to go back in. These pieces are close, but not quite ready. These are the Sodalite pieces ready to go on to stage 2. So the Sodalite, these are ready. Stage 2, so I'll set them aside. Sodalite is so close, but most of these still have just minor imperfections that I know if I don't shape them out or grind them out, I'm going to regret it later. So I'm just going to put them back in for hopefully one last round.
I added about 3 to 4 tablespoons of 220 grit to this bowl and a lot of ceramic media to help with cushioning. I always stay to wash the bowl for a few minutes to make sure that all the stones are moving adequately and that there's enough water to create a really good slurry. After 2 days in 220 grit, it was time to rinse out the bowl. Next, I ran them in 500 aluminum oxide. I put in 3 tablespoons of this. I forgot to check the bowl one night before bed, so it got really gummed up. But once I added more water, everything got moving again and I didn't have any issues. These were in 500 grit for about a day and a half before I rinsed them out.
This is after 500.
I always run 1000 grit with softer stone, so I have 3 tablespoons of 1000 grit and an equal amount of granulated sugar, which is also part of my soft stone protocol. After about a day in 1000 aluminum oxide, I rinse the stones out. This is after the 1000 aluminum oxide stage. I did hope they would be a little bit shinier at this point, but it's not too bad. The stones were ready for polish now. I add in granulated sugar as per my soft stone protocol, and I did about 2.5 tablespoons of polish for these. You might notice that one side of the bowl seems to roll better than the other, and that's just because I'm using a bowl on this that has a little drain valve here, and that drain valve does not allow the bowl to sit completely flush on the base, which means that one side tends to roll better than the other, but eventually all the stones kind of move around to both sides, and I haven't seen too many issues with this. I can't remember if I let these go for 1 or 2 days. Probably closer to 2 before I rinsed them out. This is what I ended up with after they were dried off. I rinse them and then I dry them off with a towel instead of just letting them air dry. That way I kind of inspect each stone. This one might be my favorite of the batch. I just absolutely love the orange pattern and the really deep blue. This stone here has some pitting on this side. That's not too bad. I absolutely love the pattern on this one. It's a flatter stone and I also kind of like that. Generally speaking, I think they turned out with a pretty nice shine. They're not super glossy, but they do have a nice shine to them. This one has this white ring going around it that makes it look like a wishing stone. This was my only casualty from the last steps of polishing. You can see this chip off the top of this one stone here. Then I sort everything. These stones here go into our bargain bin. These stones we consider our mix and match tumble size. These stones here I put into our little fun grab balls. And these stones over here would be individually priced based on size and color. The last thing I want to show is what these stones can look like under 365 nanometer filtered UV flashlights. You get this really bright orange. Now, not all stones are going to have this fluorescent orange color in them, but a lot of them do, and it's just like a fun little surprise. If you're ready to start tumbling softer stones, I highly recommend starting with Sodalite. It's relatively forgiving and it has some really great colors and patterns plus the UV reactivity.